Dr. Lisa Grant rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. She had been working for 12 hours straight at the Global Communications Hub in Colorado. The deep space radio telescopes had picked up something strange 3 days ago. It was not natural space noise. It was a signal, a real signal from somewhere far away in space. Lisa was a xeno. Her job was to study alien languages, even though no one had ever found aliens before. Most people thought her job was silly. They said she was wasting her time studying languages that might not exist. But Lisa believed that one day, someone would find proof of life beyond Earth. The signal came from a star system called Kepler-2 442. It was about 1,200 light-years away from Earth. The signal was weak and broken. Parts of it were missing, but Lisa could see patterns in it. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, things that only intelligent beings could make. Lisa called her team into the lab. There was Dr. Ben Clark, who studied alien technology. There was also Lieutenant Sam Hayes from the Military Communications Division. Sam was there because the government wanted to know about any signals from space right away. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing at her screen. "The signal repeats every 6 hours, but each time it gets a little weaker." Ben leaned closer to look. "That could mean their power source is running out," he said. "Or maybe their transmitter is damaged." Sam frowned. "Are we sure this is not some kind of joke? Maybe someone on Earth is sending fake signals." Lisa shook her head. "The signal is coming from deep space. No human technology could send something this far. And look at this part here." She pointed to a section of the decoded signal. "These symbols appear in mathematical sequences, but they are not like any human writing system." For the next 2 days, Lisa and her team worked without stopping. They used every computer program they had to decode the signal. Slowly, patterns began to appear. The aliens were using mathematics to explain their language. They showed how their symbols meant numbers, then simple words, then more complex ideas. On the 3rd day, Lisa made a breakthrough. She found the part of the signal that contained actual words. Her hands shook as she typed the translation into her computer. "Help us," the first decoded message said. "We are dying." Lisa called Ben and Sam over immediately. They stared at the words on the screen in shock. "This is really happening," Ben whispered. The team worked faster now. More words became clear. The aliens called themselves the Zephyrian Coalition. They were not just one species, but 3 different alien races working together. They had been attacked by something called the Vorthok Dominion 6 months ago. The message told a terrible story. The Vorthok Dominion was destroying Zephyrian worlds one by one. They killed civilians and took others as slaves. They stole resources and left dead planets behind. The Zephyrian military had tried to fight back, but they were losing badly. Lisa found the most important part of the message near the end. The aliens were asking Earth for help. But the reason why shocked her. "We have heard stories about your world," the message said. "Ancient star maps call it a death world. They say the beings who live there are the strongest warriors in the galaxy. We know this message might never reach you. But if it does, please help us. You are our only hope." Lisa stared at the words. The aliens thought Earth was a death world. They thought humans were warriors. Lisa had never thought of Earth that way, but she supposed it made sense. Earth had dangerous weather, deadly animals, diseases, earthquakes, and volcanoes. Humans had survived all of that and become the dominant species. Sam was already on his radio, calling his superiors. "This goes straight to the Pentagon," he said, "and probably to the president." Within hours, the decoded message was on the desk of Admiral Jack Morrison at the Pentagon. Admiral Morrison had been in charge of Earth's space defense programs for 10 years. He had always wondered if Earth would meet aliens someday. He just never thought it would happen like this. Admiral Morrison called President Kate Williams immediately. They held an emergency meeting in the White House Situation Room. The president read the alien message 3 times before she spoke. "Are we absolutely sure this is real?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," Admiral Morrison replied. "Our best scientists have checked everything. The signal is definitely from space. The mathematics check out, and the story makes sense. If there really are alien civilizations out there, some of them would be peaceful, and some would be aggressive." President Williams looked at the star map the aliens had sent. It showed the location of their worlds, and the path the Vorthok Dominion was taking as they destroyed everything in their way. "How long do we have?" she asked. "According to their message, maybe 2 months before the Vorthok reached their home world," Admiral Morrison said. "After that, the Zephyrian coalition will be completely destroyed." The president was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at Admiral Morrison. "Jack, do we have the capability to help them?" Admiral Morrison nodded slowly. "We have been building deep space vessels for 20 years. We have fusion drives, nuclear weapons, and kinetic weapons that could work in space combat. The question is not whether we can help them. The question is whether we should risk human lives for aliens we have never met." President Williams stood up and walked to the window. She looked up at the sky, even though it was daytime and she could not see the stars. "They called us warriors from a death world," she said finally. "Maybe they are right. Maybe Earth did make us strong, and maybe that strength is exactly what they need." She turned back to Admiral Morrison. "Prepare a fleet, Jack. We are going to answer their call." Admiral Morrison saluted. "Yes, ma'am. How many ships?" "Everything we have," President Williams said. "If we are going to do this, we are going to do it right. Those aliens asked the Death World for help. Let us show them what that means." That night, Lisa Grant stood outside the communications hub and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, aliens were waiting for Earth to answer their desperate call for help. She had spent her whole career dreaming of first contact with alien life. She just never imagined it would begin with a cry for help from the darkness of space. The next morning, Admiral Morrison began the process of assembling humanity's first interstellar war fleet. Earth was about to announce itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Captain Ryan Bell stood on the bridge of the UES Titan and watched the controlled chaos happening around him. The massive spaceship was humanity's newest and most powerful vessel. It was 800 meters long and built like a flying fortress. Thick armor covered every surface. Inside, it carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Ryan had been chosen to lead the human fleet because he understood space combat better than anyone else. He had spent 15 years commanding ships in Earth's solar system. He had fought pirates near the asteroid belt and protected mining operations around Jupiter. But this mission was different. This time, he was taking human ships to another star system to fight aliens. The shipyard around Earth's moon looked like a giant construction site. 12 warships were being prepared for the journey to Zephyrian space. Engineers worked day and night to install new weapons and upgrade the ship's armor. The work had to be done quickly. Every day they waited, more aliens died. Amy Parker was in charge of the engineering teams. She was the best spacecraft engineer on Earth. Amy had designed most of the weapons systems that were being installed on the fleet. She walked through the shipyard checking every detail personally. "How are we doing on the kinetic weapons?" Ryan asked her during one of their daily meetings. Amy smiled. "Better than expected. We have installed railguns on every ship. They can fire metal slugs at 10% of light speed. According to the alien data, no one in the galaxy has ever seen weapons like these." Ryan nodded. The aliens had sent detailed information about galactic technology, along with their distress call. Most alien weapons used energy beams or plasma bolts. They were powerful, but they traveled slowly compared to human kinetic weapons. A railgun slug moving at 30,000 kilometers per second would be impossible for alien ships to dodge. "What about nuclear weapons?" Ryan asked. All ships are loaded with nuclear missiles, Amy replied. We have also installed nuclear mine layers. The aliens have never seen nuclear technology either. Their data suggests that most galactic civilizations think nuclear weapons are too dangerous to use. Ryan laughed. They obviously never met humans. What else do we have? Amy pulled up a holographic display, showing the weapon systems, point defense lasers, plasma cannons, and missile pods. We also have something special. Each ship carries a supply of what we are calling kinetic penetrators. What are those? Tungsten rods, 2 meters long and 20 centimeters wide. We fire them from our railguns. They hit with the force of a small nuclear bomb, but they do not explode. They just punch straight through enemy ships. Ryan grinned. The more he learned about the human fleet's capabilities, the more confident he became. The aliens had asked the Deathworld for help. They were going to get more help than they ever imagined. Marine Colonel Dan Foster was having similar thoughts as he trained his troops for alien combat. Dan commanded the 1st Interstellar Marine Division. His soldiers were the best fighters Earth had ever produced. They had trained for every possible combat situation, including fighting in space and on alien worlds. Listen up, Dan told his Marines during a briefing. We do not know much about these Vorthok aliens, but we know they like to take prisoners as slaves. That means they will try to board our ships and capture our people. We cannot let that happen, Sergeant. Nancy Wright raised her hand. Sir, what do we know about their physical capabilities? Dan brought up an image on the briefing screen. The Zephyrians had sent pictures of dead Vorthok soldiers. They are about the same size as humans, but they are not as strong. Their bones are lighter, and their muscles are smaller. They evolved on a world with lower gravity than Earth. The Marines looked at each other and grinned. They had trained their whole lives on Earth's heavy gravity. Fighting enemies who were physically weaker would be like fighting children. What about their weapons? Asked Corporal Joe Martinez. Energy rifles that fire plasma bolts, Dan replied. Powerful, but slow. Our bullets will reach them before their plasma reaches us. They also use energy shields, but those shields are designed to stop other energy weapons. Kinetic rounds should punch right through. Dan switched to another image showing Vorthok armor. Their body armor is light and flexible, good for stopping energy weapons, but it will not stop our bullets. Remember, we are going up against an enemy that has never fought anyone like us. While the military prepared for war, Dr. Ben Clark worked on understanding alien technology. The Zephyrians had sent detailed technical specifications along with their distress call. Ben's job was to figure out how human and alien technology could work together. This is fascinating, Ben told his research team. Alien technology is more advanced than ours in some ways, but much weaker in others. They have faster-than-light communication and better computer systems, but their weapons and armor are designed for a completely different style of warfare. Dr. Lisa Grant was working with Ben to improve the translation system. The humans would need to talk to their alien allies during combat. The Zephyrians use sound-based language, like us, Lisa explained, but they also communicate through color changes in their skin. We are building devices that can translate both. Meanwhile, General Helen Ross was studying the strategic situation. She was the overall commander of the mission. Helen had fought in 3 wars on Earth, and was considered the best military strategist alive. She spent hours studying the star maps and intelligence reports the aliens had sent. The Vorthok Dominion controls about 50 star systems, Helen explained to her staff officers. They have been expanding for over 100 years. They attack weak civilizations, steal their resources, and enslave their populations. How big is their military? Asked Colonel Foster. About 3,000 ships, Helen replied. Most of them are smaller than our vessels, but they have some large battleships. The good news is that they spread their forces across many systems. They never expect serious resistance, so they do not concentrate their fleets. What is their strategy? asked Captain Bell. Helen pointed to the star map. They move through space like a slow wave, destroying everything in their path. They take about 6 months to completely strip a star system of resources. Right now, they are attacking the outer Zephyrian colonies. In 2 months, they will reach the Zephyrian homeworld. So we need to stop them before then, Captain Bell said. Exactly. But here is the interesting part. According to Zephyrian intelligence, the Vorthok have never fought an enemy that fought back effectively. They are used to easy victories. They have no experience dealing with real resistance. General Ross smiled. That is about to change. When we arrive in Zephyrian space, we are going to show the Vorthok what it means to fight warriors from a death world. 2 weeks later, the human fleet was ready. 12 warships hung in space near Earth's moon. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a city. The crews were the best Earth had to offer. The weapons were more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Admiral Jack Morrison came aboard the UES Titan to see the fleet off personally. He found Captain Bell on the bridge, running final system checks. "Are you ready for this, Ryan?" the Admiral asked. Captain Bell looked out at the other ships in the fleet. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering and determination. "Yes, sir. We have been ready our whole lives. Earth made us strong. Now it is time to show the galaxy what that means. The aliens called us warriors, from a death world, Admiral," Morrison said. "Do not let them down." Captain Bell saluted. "We won not, sir. When we are done, the whole galaxy will know that Earth stands with its friends." The Admiral left the ship and returned to his command station on the moon. At exactly 1200 hours, the human fleet activated their faster-than-light drives. 12 ships disappeared into hyperspace, carrying humanity's message to the stars. The journey to Zephyrian space would take 3 weeks. When they arrived, they would either save an entire civilization or die trying. But every human in the fleet knew one thing for certain. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth was called a death world. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Zephyrian territory. Captain Ryan Bell stood on the bridge of the UES Titan and stared at his tactical display. The alien star system looked nothing like Earth's solar system. 3 different colored suns orbited each other in a complex dance. Planets hung in space at impossible angles. It was beautiful and strange. "Contact on sensors," reported Lieutenant Sam Hayes from his tactical station. "Small ship approaching. It is broadcasting the Zephyrian identification codes." Captain Bell nodded. "Put them on the main screen." The display flickered and showed the inside of an alien ship. Captain Bell found himself looking at Commander Veltar for the first time. The alien looked like a cross between a human and a dolphin. His skin was smooth and gray. His eyes were large and intelligent. When he spoke, his voice was translated by the communication system Dr. Lisa Grant had built. "Human vessels, Commander," Veltar said. "I cannot believe you actually came. We have been monitoring your approach for the last hour. Your ships are much larger than we expected." "Commander Veltar," Captain Bell replied. "I am Captain Ryan Bell, of the Earth Fleet. We received your distress call. We are here to help." Commander Veltar's skin changed color, from gray to a light blue. Dr. Lisa had told them that this meant the aliens were feeling hope. "Captain Bell, I am honored to meet you, but I must be honest. When we sent our message to the Death World, we did not know if anyone would answer. We certainly did not expect 12 warships. Earth does not do things halfway." Captain Bell said. "We brought everything we have. Where can we meet to discuss the situation?" "Please follow my ship to Kepler Station," Commander Veltar replied. "It is our last major outpost. From there, we can show you what we are fighting." The human fleet followed the small Zephyrian vessel deeper into the star system. As they traveled, more alien ships appeared on their sensors. But these ships were tiny compared to human vessels. The largest Zephyrian ship was only 200 meters long. The human ships were all over 500 meters long, and the UES Titan was 800 meters. Their ships look fast, observed Lieutenant Hayes, but they are not heavily armed or armored. Captain Bell studied the alien vessels. They were sleek and elegant, like pieces of art floating in space. Human ships looked like flying fortresses. By comparison, thick armor, heavy weapons, and redundant systems made them look brutal and practical. When they reached Kepler Station, Captain Bell was amazed by what he saw. The space station was enormous, but it was also incredibly delicate. It looked like it was made of crystal and light. Beautiful spirals and curves decorated every surface. It was the most elegant structure he had ever seen. "Impressive," said General Helen Ross, who had joined Captain Bell on the bridge. "But how does it defend itself?" "I do not see any visible weapons," Lieutenant Hayes reported. "There are some energy shield generators, but nothing else." General Ross frowned. "No wonder they are losing this war. Their entire civilization seems to be built for peace, not war." 2 hours later, Captain Bell and General Ross took a shuttle to Kepler Station. They were escorted by a squad of Marines led by Sergeant Nancy Wright. The Marines wore full combat armor and carried assault rifles. They were not taking any chances with the first meeting between humans and aliens. The docking bay of the alien station was filled with Cypherians waiting to meet them. Captain Bell was surprised by how small they looked. Most of them were only about 1.5 meters tall. They had thin arms and legs. Their movements were graceful but looked fragile. Commander Veltar approached them with several other aliens. 2 were Zephyrians like him, but the third was different. It looked like a tall, thin insect with 4 arms and compound eyes. "Captain Bell, General Ross," Commander Veltar said. "Allow me to introduce my colleagues. This is Science Leader Kethra of the Zephyrians, and this is War Leader Zixton of the Arthak people. The Arthak are one of the 3 species in our coalition." General Ross stepped forward. She was a tall, strong woman who had spent her life as a soldier. Next to the delicate aliens, she looked like a giant. "Commander Veltar, we are honored to meet you, but we need to understand the threat you are facing. Can you show us the enemy?" Commander Veltar's skin turned a darker color. "Of course, but I must warn you, the images are disturbing." They moved to a briefing room inside the station. The walls lit up with holographic displays showing the recent battles. Captain Bell and General Ross watched as Vorthok ships attacked Zephyrian colonies. The enemy vessels were larger than Zephyrian ships, but still smaller than human vessels. They were dark and angular, covered with weapon ports and armor plating. "The Vorthok Dominion has been expanding for over a century," Commander Vel explained. "They attack peaceful civilizations and take everything of value. They kill those who resist and enslave the rest." The display showed a Vorthok ground assault. The enemy soldiers looked like large, muscular reptiles. They carried energy weapons and wore heavy armor. They moved through Zephyrian cities, destroying everything in their path. "How big are they?" asked General Ross. "About 2 meters tall and very strong, War Leader," Zixton replied. "Much stronger than our people. Their homeworld has heavy gravity, like yours." General Ross and Captain Bell looked at each other. The Vorthok were big and strong, but they were still smaller than many humans, and human soldiers trained on Earth's gravity their whole lives. "What about their weapons?" Captain Bell asked. "Science." Leader Kethra brought up technical displays. "They use plasma-based energy weapons. Very powerful, but they take time to charge between shots. Their ships use similar weapons, along with energy shields for defense." Lieutenant Hayes, who had stayed on the shuttle to monitor communications, spoke through Captain Bell's radio. "Captain, I am analyzing their weapon specs. Our kinetic weapons should be much faster than their plasma bolts, and our railguns should punch right through their energy shields." Captain Bell nodded. Commander Veltar, we need to see your military capabilities. What kind of resistance can you provide? Commander Veltar looked sad. Very little, I am afraid. We have 200 ships left in our entire fleet. Most are damaged from previous battles. We were never a military civilization. We built our society for exploration and trade, not war. That is why we need you, war leader, Zixton added. The ancient star chart spoke of warriors from the death worlds, being so dangerous that other civilizations feared to contact them. We hoped the stories were true. General Ross smiled grimly. The stories are true. Earth is a dangerous world. Deadly weather, dangerous animals, diseases, natural disasters. Humans had to become tough just to survive. Then we had to become warriors to dominate our world. But we are not just warriors, Captain Bell added. We are also protectors. When someone asks for help, we answer. That is who we are. The briefing continued for several hours. The humans learned about galactic civilization and politics. The aliens learned about human technology and military doctrine. Both sides were amazed by what they discovered. Your kinetic weapons are impossible, science leader Kethra said. No civilization uses solid projectiles in space combat. They are too slow and primitive. Actually, they are much faster than energy weapons, General Ross replied. A railgun projectile travels at 10% of light speed. Your plasma bolts only travel at about 5% of light speed. The aliens stared at her in shock. That is incredible, Commander Veltar said. And your nuclear weapons? We have missiles that can destroy entire cities, Captain Bell said. Simply, each of our ships carries enough nuclear weapons to sterilize a planet. War leader Zixton's insect-like eyes went wide. Your species really did evolve on a death world. Only the most dangerous beings could create such terrible weapons. We do not like using them, General Ross said. But sometimes terrible weapons are necessary to protect innocent people. The Vorthok Dominion chose to be conquerors and slavers. They will learn what happens when you threaten the friends of Earth. As the meeting ended, Commander Veltar walked with Captain Bell back to the docking bay. Captain, may I ask you something personal? Of course. Are all humans like you and General Ross? So confident and strong. Captain Bell thought about it. We are all different, but we share certain traits. We do not give up easily. We protect our friends, and we do not like bullies. Commander Veltar's skin changed to a bright gold color. Then perhaps there is hope after all. The Vorthok have never faced an enemy like you. As the human officers returned to their fleet, they carried with them detailed intelligence about the enemy. The Vorthok Dominion was powerful, but they had weaknesses. They had never fought an enemy that fought back effectively. They had never seen weapons like those carried by human ships. Most importantly, they had never faced warriors from a death world. Captain Bell stood on his bridge and looked at the peaceful alien station. Soon, the Vorthok would come here to destroy it, but this time, they would find human ships waiting for them. The galaxy was about to learn a new lesson about what happened when someone threatened the friends of Earth. The Vorthok fleet arrived at Kepler Station exactly when the Zephyrian intelligence reports said they would. Captain Ryan Bell watched them approach on his tactical display. 30 enemy ships dropped out of hyperspace and formed an attack formation. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never met serious resistance. Enemy fleet detected, reported Lieutenant Sam Hayes. 30 vessels, 25 frigates, 4 cruisers, and 1 battleship. They are moving toward the station, Captain. Bell stood in the center of his bridge. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency. No one seemed nervous. They had trained for this moment their entire careers. Signal the fleet, Captain Bell ordered. All ships move to intercept. Show them what Death World warriors can do. The human fleet moved away from Kepler Station and spread out in a battle line 12 ships against 30. To any normal military commander, those odds would be terrible. But these were not normal ships, and these were not normal warriors. On the used destroyer, Captain Amy Parker checked her weapon systems one last time. All railguns charged and ready, she reported to Captain Bell over the communication system. Nuclear missiles armed, kinetic penetrators loaded. General Helen Ross stood in the command center of the UES Titan, watching the tactical display. She had studied every piece of intelligence about Vorthok military tactics. They liked to use overwhelming force to break enemy morale quickly. They were about to learn that humans did not break easily. Enemy ships are hailing us, Lieutenant Hayes reported. Put them on screen, Captain Bell ordered. The main display showed the bridge of the Vorthok battleship. The alien commander was massive, even by Vorthok standards. His scales were dark green and covered with scars. His eyes glowed red with anger. When he spoke, his voice was deep and threatening. Unknown vessels, the Vorthok commander growled. I am war leader, Krexenol, of the Vorthok Dominion. You are interfering with our conquest of this system. Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick. Captain Bell smiled coldly. War leader, Krexenol, I am Captain Ryan Bell of the Earth Fleet. You are the one who needs to surrender. Leave this system immediately, or we will destroy your ships. The Vorthok commander laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. You have 12 small ships against 30 of mine. Your species must be even more stupid than the Our species survived on a death world, Captain Bell replied. We learned how to fight against impossible odds. You are about to learn what that means. War leader Krexenol's expression changed from amusement to confusion. Death world. What is a death world? Earth, Captain Bell said simply. Gravity 1.5 times galactic standard. Poisonous atmosphere for most species. Deadly storms. Active volcanism. Massive predators. We did not just survive on Earth. We conquered it. The Vorthok commander's eyes narrowed. Impossible. No species could evolve on such a world. Open fire, Captain Bell ordered. The human fleet spoke with one voice. 12 ships fired their railguns at exactly the same moment. Tungsten projectiles streaked across space at 30,000 kilometers per second. The Vorthok ships never saw them coming. The lead Vorthok frigate simply disappeared. The kinetic penetrator punched through its energy shields like they were not even there. It went through the ship's armor, through the hull, through the power core, and out the other side. The ship exploded in a ball of plasma and debris. 2 more Vorthok ships died in the first volley. The kinetic rounds moved so fast that the enemy had no time to react. One moment their ships were there, the next moment they were spreading clouds of wreckage. Impossible, War Leader Krexenol whispered, staring at his tactical display. No weapons move that fast. The surviving Vorthok ships opened fire with their plasma cannons. Bright beams of superheated gas reached across space toward the human fleet. But the human ships were already moving. They had fired their first volley, and immediately changed course. The plasma beams missed their targets completely. Enemy weapons are too slow, reported Lieutenant Hayes. Flight time is over 8 seconds at this range. We can dodge them easily. The second human volley was even more devastating than the first. This time, Captain Bell's ships fired nuclear missiles along with their kinetic weapons. The missiles were much slower than the railgun projectiles, but they carried fusion warheads that could vaporize entire ships. 2 Vorthok cruisers disappeared in nuclear fireballs. The explosions were so bright that the cameras on the human ships automatically dimmed to protect their operators. When the light faded, nothing remained of the enemy vessels except radioactive gas. War Leader Krexenol was shouting orders at his crew, but his ships were in chaos. Half his fleet was already destroyed, and they had not managed to hit a single human vessel. His tactical officer was screaming about impossible weapons and death world monsters. Sir, The tactical officer reported in panic. The enemy is launching some kind of boarding craft. On the EU's Titan, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Martinez was leading the first space assault in human history. His Marines were packed into armored boarding pods that had been fired from railguns like massive bullets. The pods moved too fast for enemy point defense systems to track. 30 seconds to impact, Martinez announced to his squad. Remember, these aliens have never fought humans before. Show them why Earth breeds the best warriors in the galaxy. The boarding pods smashed through the hull of a Vorthok cruiser and embedded themselves deep inside the ship. The Marines inside activated their cutting charges and blasted their way into the enemy vessel. Sergeant Nancy Wright was the first human to step onto an alien warship. The interior of the Vorthok ship was dark and cramped. The aliens had built it for their own use, and humans were larger than they had expected. Nancy had to duck to avoid hitting her head on the ceiling. Behind her, 20 Marines in full combat armor spread out through the ship. The first Vorthok soldiers they encountered were just as shocked as their fleet commander. They had never seen anything like human Marines. The humans were bigger, stronger, and covered in armor that looked like it could stop starship weapons. When the aliens fired their plasma rifles, the energy bolts bounced off human armor like raindrops. The Marines opened fire with their kinetic weapons. Bullets designed to work in space combat tore through Vorthok armor like it was made of paper. The enemy soldiers fell before they could fire a second shot. Bridge secured, Sergeant Wright reported over the radio. Enemy crew is surrendering. Back. In the main battle, the Vorthok fleet was falling apart. War leader Krexenol had started with 30 ships. Now he had 12, and more were dying every minute. The human fleet moved through space like vengeful spirits, appearing wherever the enemy did not expect them and striking with impossible weapons. Captain Bell watched the battle from his command chair. The human ships were performing exactly as he had hoped. They were faster than the enemy expected, tougher than the enemy believed possible, and armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen before. "Sir," Lieutenant Hayes reported, "the enemy battleship is trying to retreat. Do not let it escape," Captain Bell ordered. "Use the special ammunition." The UES Titan's main railgun loaded a kinetic penetrator that was different from the others. This one was longer and made from ultra-dense materials. It was designed to punch through the heaviest armor ever built. When it fired, the projectile moved so fast that it created a brief flash of light as it compressed the space around it. The Vorthok battleship was the largest and most powerful vessel in their fleet. Its armor was meters thick. Its shields could stop any known weapon, but it had never been designed to stop a projectile moving at 10% of light speed. The kinetic penetrator went through the battleship's rear shields, through its armor, through its entire length, and out the front. The ship's power core exploded 3 seconds later. War leader Krexenol and his crew were vaporized instantly. The surviving Vorthok ships broke formation and fled in every direction. Some tried to reach hyperspace. Others simply flew away as fast as their engines could carry them. None of them wanted to face the Deathworld warriors anymore. "Battle over," Lieutenant Hayes reported. "Enemy fleet destroyed or scattered. We have taken minimal damage." Captain Bell nodded. The Battle of Kepler Station was humanity's first victory in interstellar warfare. It would not be their last. On Kepler Station, Commander Veltar and his staff watched the battle through their sensors. They had never seen anything like it. The human fleet had destroyed a superior enemy force in less than an hour. The Deathworld warriors had lived up to their reputation. "Commander," Science Leader Kethra said in amazement, "the humans used kinetic weapons moving at relativistic speeds. That should be impossible. They also used nuclear explosives in space combat," War Leader Zixton added. "No civilized species does that. It is too dangerous." Commander Veltar's skin had changed to bright gold. "They are not like other species. They really did evolve on a death world, and now they are here to help us." The human fleet regrouped near Kepler Station. Captain Bell opened a communication channel to Commander Veltar. "Commander, the immediate threat to your station has been eliminated. But this is only the beginning. We need to take the fight to the enemy before they can regroup." "Captain Bell," Commander Veltar replied, "what you just did was impossible. Your ships destroyed 30 enemy vessels with the news of the Battle of Kepler Station spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The Vorthok Dominion had been expanding for over a century without serious resistance. Now, in one afternoon, 30 of their ships had been destroyed by an unknown enemy. Panic spread through their military command. General Helen Ross stood in the war room aboard the UES Titan, studying star charts with Commander Veltar and the other Allied leaders. 3 weeks had passed since the first battle. During that time, the human fleet had liberated 6 Zephyrian colonies and destroyed over 200 Vorthok ships. "The enemy is pulling back to their core systems," General Ross explained, pointing to the holographic display. "They are trying to consolidate their forces for a final defense." Commander Veltar's skin showed the bright gold color that meant hope. 3 weeks ago, we were facing extinction. Now we are pushing the invaders back to their own territory. It seems impossible. "Earth does not believe in impossible," replied Captain Ryan Bell. "We believe in doing whatever it takes to protect our friends." War leader Zixton clicked his mandibles together, which was how the Arthak people showed excitement. "The Dominion is calling for reinforcements from their homeworld. Our intelligence sources report that Overlord Krextal himself is coming to stop you." "Good," said General Ross grimly. "It is time to end this war permanently. Captain Bell, how many ships do we have now?" Captain Bell checked his tactical display. 18 ships. Admiral Pete Thompson arrived yesterday with 6 more vessels from Earth. We also have 47 Zephyrian ships that have joined the fleet. The Zephyrian ships were not powerful compared to human vessels, but they were fast and their crews were brave. After seeing what Deathworld warriors could accomplish, the aliens had found new courage. They wanted to fight alongside their human allies. Intelligence reports that the Dominion has gathered over 500 ships at their homeworld, Commander Veltar said quietly. "Even with your incredible weapons, those are very bad odds." General Ross smiled the cold smile of a warrior who had never lost a battle. "Commander, you still do not understand what it means to be from a death world. We did not evolve to fight fair. We evolved to win." The human fleet departed Zephyrian space 2 days later. This time, they were not just 12 ships answering a distress call. They were leading a liberation force of 65 vessels carrying the hopes of 3 alien civilizations. The Zephyrians, the Arthak, and a third species called the Morvani had all joined the alliance against the Vorthok Dominion. The journey to the Vorthok homeworld took 1 week. When they arrived, they found exactly what their intelligence had predicted. Over 500 enemy ships waited in defensive positions around a dark, volcanic planet. The Vorthok homeworld looked like a nightmare version of Earth. Active volcanoes covered the surface. The atmosphere was thick with ash and poisonous gases. "No wonder they turned out to be such monsters," observed Dr. Ben Clark, who had joined the fleet to study alien technology. "Their world is almost as dangerous as Earth, but they never learned to work together like humans did." Overlord Krextal commanded the Vorthok defense from his flagship, a massive dreadnought that was larger than any ship in the human fleet. He had spent 3 weeks studying reports about the mysterious Deathworld warriors. He still did not believe that any species could be as dangerous as the reports claimed. "Attention, Deathworld fleet. Overlord Krextal, broadcast on all frequencies. I am Overlord Krextal, Supreme Commander of the Vorthok Dominion. You have interfered with our expansion for the last time. Surrender now, and we will allow your alien allies to live as slaves." General Ross stepped forward on the bridge of the UES Titan. "Overlord Krextal, I am General Helen Ross of Earth. We have come to end your reign of terror. Surrender now, and we will allow your people to live in peace." The Vorthok commander laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "You have 18 small ships against my armada of 500. Even Deathworld monsters cannot overcome such odds." "You are right," General Ross replied calmly. 18 ships are not enough. That is why we brought friends." The space around the Vorthok homeworld suddenly filled with new contacts. Admiral Pete Thompson's reinforcement fleet had been hiding behind the system's outer planets. 50 additional human warships appeared on every sensor screen in the system. "You now face 68 Deathworld vessels," General Ross announced. "Each one carries enough firepower to destroy your entire original fleet. This is your last chance to surrender." Overlord Krextel stared at his tactical display in shock. The humans had somehow hidden an entire fleet from his sensors. But even 68 ships against 500 were still terrible odds, he decided, to show these Deathworld warriors what real military power looked like. "All ships, attack formation," he ordered. "Destroy the invaders." The Vorthok armada moved forward like a tide of darkness. 500 ships firing thousands of plasma cannons created a wall of energy that lit up space like a star. But the human fleet was not where the enemy expected them to be. Captain Bell had studied every battle the Vorthok had ever fought. They always used the same tactics: overwhelming firepower, indirect assaults. They had never learned to adapt because they had never needed to. The Deathworld warriors were about to teach them a very expensive lesson. The human ships moved in patterns. That seemed impossible. They accelerated and turned faster than any vessel that size should be able to move. Their fusion drives and inertial dampeners were more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. While the Vorthok fleet fired at empty space, the human ships appeared behind them. "Fire everything," General Ross ordered. 68 human warships opened fire simultaneously. Railguns fired tungsten penetrators at relativistic speeds. Nuclear missiles streaked across space, carrying fusion warheads. Kinetic mines were deployed in the path of enemy ships. The humans used every weapon they had ever developed, all at the same time. The result was devastating beyond anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. In the first 30 seconds of combat, over 100 Vorthok ships simply ceased to exist. They were not destroyed in explosions. They were annihilated by weapons that moved too fast to see and hit with the force of small stars. Overlord Krextal watched his armada being torn apart and finally understood what he was facing. These were not just advanced aliens with better technology. These were predators from a world so dangerous that it had created the perfect warriors. Every human ship moved like a living thing, dodging enemy fire while delivering death with surgical precision. "Sir," his tactical officer reported in terror, "we have lost over half our fleet. Our weapons cannot hit them. Their weapons go right through our shields." "Impossible," Overlord Krextal growled. "No species is that powerful." On the U.S. Titan, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Martinez was preparing for the largest boarding operation in human history. "All Marine units, prepare for assault. We are going to take their flagship and end this war personally." The boarding pods launched from every human ship at once. Hundreds of armored Marines flew across space in projectiles that moved too fast for enemy point defense systems. They smashed through Vorthok hulls and began fighting their way toward the command centers. Sergeant Nancy Wright led the assault on Overlord Krextal's flagship. The interior of the massive ship was like a fortress, but it had been designed to fight other aliens, not humans. The corridors were too narrow for humans in full armor, so the Marines simply blasted new passages through the walls. Deck by deck, Nancy ordered her squad. "Show them what happens when they threaten our friends." The Vorthok soldiers defending their flagship fought bravely, but they had never faced an enemy like human Marines. The aliens were strong, but humans were stronger. Their plasma weapons were powerful, but human kinetic weapons were faster and more deadly. Most importantly, the Vorthok had never fought an enemy that seemed to enjoy combat. Human Marines advanced through the ship like an unstoppable force. They used breaching charges to blow through armored doors. They threw grenades around corners to clear rooms before entering. They moved with the coordinated precision of predators who had evolved to hunt in packs. On the bridge of his flagship, Overlord Krextal made his last stand. He was surrounded by his personal guard, the largest and most dangerous Vorthok warriors. In the Dominion, they had sworn to die rather than surrender. The bridge doors exploded inward as human Marines blasted their way inside. Sergeant Wright was the first through the breach, her assault rifle already firing. The Vorthok guards were tough, but they fell one by one to precise human gunfire. Overlord Krextal himself charged at the human Marines with a massive energy sword. He was over 3 meters tall and weighed twice as much as any human. But Sergeant Wright had been born on a death world and trained her entire life for combat. She dodged his attack and put 3 bullets through his chest armor. The Supreme Commander of the Vorthok Dominion fell to the deck of his own flagship, killed by a human soldier who was half his size. Bridge secured, Sergeant Wright reported, over the radio. Enemy commander is down. The Battle of the Vorthok homeworld lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Dominion's military taking a sea.